Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about the solution and answers to your exercises in interest rates. Case 1. A treasury bond that matures in 10 years has a yield of 6%. A 10-year corporate bond has a yield of 8%. Assume that the liquidity risk premium on the corporate bond is 0.5%. What is the default risk premium on the corporate bond? Well, this is an easy one. Now, in arriving at the interest rate of any security, you have to understand that we have the following formula. R is equal to R star plus inflation premium IP. This depends on how many years are you looking into the future. In this case, that's 10 years. Plus DRP, default risk premium, plus LP, the liquidity premium, then plus MRP, the maturity risk premium, also dependent on how many years into the future are we looking at. Then we have the interest rates for the 10-year treasury bond. You have to understand that government securities, as discussed, they have no default risk premium and they have no liquidity premium as they are acceptable. So what we're going to do is to use the elimination method. So deducting the second equation from the first one, you would have R star being cancelled, inflation premium for 10 years, and the maturity risk premium for 10 years are also cancelled. What remains is R sub C10 minus R sub T10. This is equal to the default risk premium plus the liquidity premium. Substituting the given, R sub C10 is 8%, that's minus R sub T10, 6%. This is equal to DRP plus the LP of 0.5%, also given. Hence, we can arrive at the default risk premium. The default risk premium is therefore 1.5%. That's the answer for case 1. Then we have the following. Case 2. Due to a recession, expected inflation this year is only 3%. However, the inflation rate in year 2 and thereafter is expected to be constant at some level above 3%. Assume that the expectations theory holds. In other words, there will be no maturity risk premium considered in arriving at interest rates. Again, MRP should be 0 under pure expectations theory. And the real risk-free rate R star is 2%. If the yield on a 3-year treasury bonds is equal to 1-year yield plus 2%, what inflation rate is expected after year 1? Now, so far, what's given is the inflation premium for 1 year. If the expected inflation this year is 3%, then that would be our inflation premium for the coming year, 1 year. Now, in arriving at the inflation premium, a security maturing 3 years from now, what we are going to do is to start with the 1 year yield, then add 2%. We have to remove the real risk-free rate. So the inflation premium for a 3-year security would be 2% above the 3% inflation this year, considering that the 1-year inflation into the future is already given. Inflation premium for 3 years is 5%. The inflation premium for a 3-year security. Now, do not be confused. What we are looking for is the inflation rate, not the inflation premium. Because the inflation premium is just the average inflation throughout the years until the security will mature. Now, we have the following for 3 years. A 3-year security again has an inflation premium of 5%. To arrive at the inflation rate after year 1, you have IR sub 1 plus IR sub 2 plus IR sub 3 divided by 3. This is equal to 5%. Again, the inflation premium for a 3-year security is only the average of the next 3 years inflation. Then you have the fact that IR sub 1 is known. It is already 3%. And that the inflation rate after year 1 will be constant. So IR sub 2 and IR sub 3 should be the same. They should be equal. 3% therefore plus IR sub 2 plus IR sub 2. Again, IR sub 2 and 3 are the same. Divided by 3 should be 5%. So you have 3% plus 2 times IR sub 2 is equal to 15%. 2 times IR sub 2 is equal to 12%. IR sub 2 is therefore 6%. IR sub 2 is equal to IR sub 3. Hence, we know that IR sub 3 is also 6%. The inflation rate after year 1 is therefore expected to be 6%. So that's it for case 2. Now let us go to case 3. A company's 5-year bonds are yielding 7.75% per year. Treasury bonds with the same maturity are yielding 5.2% per year. The real risk-free rate R star is 2.3%. The average inflation premium is 2.5%. And the maturity risk premium is expected to be 0.1 times T minus 1%, where T is equal the number of years to maturity. You have to understand that MRP depends on the maturity of the security. The longer it takes for a security to mature, then the higher the MRP would be. If the liquidity premium is 1%, what is the default risk premium on the corporate bonds? So I'm going to show two possible solutions for this case. The first one is the use of the interest rate for a 5-year corporate bond and that of the 5-year treasury bond using the elimination method. Again, for a typical security that is not issued by the government, we have the following for our interest rate. R star plus IP plus DRP plus LP plus MRP. Now for treasury securities, there is no default risk premium. Governments are not expected to default. And there's no liquidity premium. It is presumed that they are acceptable by anyone in the market. There's no need to sell it below market value. Given such, DRP and LP is equal to 0, we can do an elimination here. And of course, we may eliminate R star, IP sub 5, and MRP sub 5, considering that the two of them have the same maturity. So if they have the same maturity, IP and MRP would be the same for both. What remains is R sub C5 minus R sub T5. This is equal to DRP plus LP. We know for a fact that R sub C5 is 7.75%. R sub T5 is 5.2%. This is equal to DRP plus the LP of 1%. Hence, DRP is 1.55%. Another way of arriving at the DRP is through the use only of the R sub C5 formula. Again, that's R star plus IP sub 5 plus DRP plus LP plus MRP sub 5. Now, we know that R sub C5 is 7.75%, given R star 2.3%, given IP sub 5 2.5%, given DRP is what we're looking for, LP 1%, given MRP for 5 years, we may calculate this. That's 0.1 times T minus 1%. Since the time it takes to mature is 5 years, so that would be times 4. 0.1 times 4 is equal to 0.4%. Given such, we may manipulate the equation and arrive at a DRP of 1.55% as well. In either case, we would arrive at the same default risk premium, 1.55%. Finally, we have case 4. An investor in treasury securities expects inflation to be 2.5% in year 1, 3.2% in year 2, 3.6% each year thereafter. Assume that the real risk-free rate is 2.75% and that this rate will remain constant. 3-year treasury securities yield 6.25%, while 5-year treasury securities yield 6.8%. What is the difference in maturity risk premiums on the two securities? That is MRP sub 5 minus MRP sub 3. How are we going to arrive at the answer in this one? We may do some form of elimination as well. I will start with the inflation premiums. The inflation premium for a 3-year security would be 2.5% year 1, 3.2% year 2, 3.6% year 3. Take the sum of the 3 divided by 3. The average inflation over the next 3 years is expected to be 3.1%. IP sub 3 is 3.1%. IP sub 5, you have 2.5% plus 3.2% plus 3.6% times 3, representing years 3, 4, and 5. All of this divided by 5, inflation premium for a 5-year security would be 3.3%. We will proceed with the elimination this time. The interest rate for a 5-year treasury bond is R star plus IP sub 5 plus the maturity risk premium for a 5-year security. Reminder, if it doesn't say anything about pure expectations theory, we would assume that it isn't true. So there will be an MRP. R sub T3, that's for the 3-year treasury bonds. You have R star plus IP sub 3 plus the MRP for 3 years. Elimination may take place this time. This time only, R star can be eliminated. R sub T5 minus R sub T3. This is equal to IP sub 5 minus IP sub 3 plus MRP sub 5 minus MRP sub 3. So R sub T5 and R sub T3 are given 6.80% minus 6.25%. IP sub 5 and IP sub 3 are already calculated. 3.3% minus 3.1%. Then you have MRP sub 5 minus MRP sub 3 is what we are looking for. So we would end up with 0.55%, the difference among the rates of the 5-year and the 3-year treasury bonds, and minus 0.2% pertaining to the differences in the inflation premium. You would end up with MRP sub 5 minus MRP sub 3. This is equal to 0.35%. This is the difference between a 5-year and a 3-year maturity risk premium. So that would be it for our cases in this exercise. Like this video if you find this helpful. Hit that notification bell to be updated for future videos.